2 months into his cancer fight, his rich boss, wife, and the famous actor reunite. She constantly tells him she loves him, but behind his back, she hangs out with that actor, even giving away the special doll he bought for her to someone else entirely. She actually claims she just cannot forget her childhood friend got totally drunk with him and made a mistake any woman would make. When he finally demands a divorce later, she cheerfully agrees without any hesitation. She tells him directly, "Husband, if you have doubts, we will clear them up together, and after that, we can just get remarried." In their 5th year of marriage, Nguyen falls in love with the exact same man she got drunk with. That man is incredibly successful now, nearly a world-famous actor. On the exact day he wins his biggest award, he reaches right back out to contact Nguyen again. He tells her she promised to wait for his big break, a night he chased for 10 long years. Now that he made it, he asks when she will come home to him. He stands right under those bright lights, tears streaming down his face, telling everyone in the crowd about his one true love. From then on, absolutely everyone sees Than and Nguyen as a perfect match made in heaven. But Nguyen's brother gets completely furious, cursing that actor out for being a shameless and highly despicable guy. Her brother yells that back during a family crisis. He abandoned his sister without a word and immediately ran to another rich backer. Now that his wealthy backer tossed him aside, he actually has the nerve to come crawling back, begging his sister for help. He asks his brother-in-law how a person can possibly turn out like that, and Dat just smiles bitterly in complete silence, remembering his very first time meeting Than on the exact day of his major health checkup. Finding out his cancer actually had a real chance of recovery, he was beyond overjoyed to go in for a follow-up appointment with his doctor. He intentionally sent Nguyen away for a bit. Dr. Ho asks him directly, "This is great news. Are you sure you do not want your family here to listen?" Dat excitedly asks him to keep it a secret, telling the doctor to whisper because he really wants to give his wife a huge surprise. She stood by him through this whole illness for so long, so he wants to tell her himself, fully believing Nguyen will feel the exact same joy he does. So he happily and carefully writes down all the medical instructions by hand in his notebook. He imagines what Nguyen's face will look like, totally shocked, thrilled, or maybe a mix of anxious and cautious, exactly like him. But pay close attention here. He walks out, full of pure joy, only to see Nguyen's clothes completely messed up as she rests in someone else's arms right by the corner. Muffled sounds ring in his ears, making his head spin until he can barely stand. Nguyen and Than are kissing passionately right by the stairs, completely ignoring the rest of the world. Than spots him, raises an eyebrow, shoots a highly provocative smirk right at him, and then just closes his eyes to dive back in. Smack! The notebook slips from his hands and hits the hard floor loudly. Nguyen jumps in pure shock, turning her head and frantically pushing Than right off her. She looks incredibly panicked, carefully calling out to her husband in a shaky voice. Dat just turns and walks away on weak legs, but before he gets far, she catches up. Then Than's arrogant voice suddenly rings out right behind him. Than says he heard Dat was unwell and came to visit, even buying a nice flower basket on the way, but somehow accidentally leaving it right inside Yen's car. He claims Dat will see his heartfelt gift when they head home together, completely hiding his expression, but speaking with pure, smug arrogance to practically declare his absolute ownership over her. Dat suddenly feels violently sick, covering his mouth as he dry heaves uncontrollably. Nguyen rushes over in a total panic to support him, coldly telling Than to get out of the way and leave. She scolds him before turning right back to hug Dat. Dat pushes her away, but she just clings tighter. He struggles wildly, telling Nguyen straight to her face that she is absolutely filthy. He yells at her let go. Hearing this, Than turns pale, forces a stiff smile, and tells Nguyen they will meet at their usual spot tonight. He takes a few steps, then hears Nguyen's voice, and turns back with pure joy, proudly claiming he knew she could never bear to actually let him leave. But Nguyen's assistant is standing right there, holding the flower basket Than bought for Dat. Nguyen's face turns super dark as she shoots him a heavily sarcastic glare. She tells Than to grab his flowers and get out. Her husband is allergic to pollen, so what exactly does this gift mean? In the end, Dat still brushes Nguyen's hand away, heading back home completely alone to crawl straight into bed and sleep. He hopes sleeping will make it all feel like a bad dream, but the intense physical pain clearly and stubbornly reminds him that absolutely none of this is just a nightmare. This is where her mind really plays tricks. Maybe even Nguyen does not realize she loves someone else now. When Than first arrived, she angrily chased him away, openly cursing him out right in front of Dat without hiding a single thing. She yelled at Than after abandoning her so ruthlessly. How dare he return now? And what does he take her for? Why would she ever pick up someone else's discarded trash? She said all those harsh words, yet her eyes were completely full of this heavily suppressed reluctance. But Than persistently visited her company, every single day without fail, bringing hot meals at lunch, driving her home, and even canceling his own big schedules just to attend social events with Nu Yen. Over time, whenever Nu Yen got incredibly drunk, it was always Than who personally brought her back home. Nu Yen would lie dead drunk on the sofa, hugging Dat and asking why he was never the one to come pick her up when she got this wasted. She would slur husband, "Why do you always act so cold and emotionless?" Dat just completely stops wiping her face in that moment. She rambles on, asking if her husband knows that Than is a huge bother, and then actually asks if Dat thinks that actor truly loves her. She claims Than is just an annoying bother, but without even realizing it, she has already grown entirely used to having him right there in her life. After that, she spends less and less time at home, and every single time they actually meet, they just argue. She actually tells me, "We barely get to see each other, so why make her mad?" She claims Eng Thenh just clings to her, putting her in a really tough spot. I just give her this incredibly cold smile. Lu Nhyn. Eng Thenh is always clinging to you, but are you really entirely innocent here? A tough spot? Or are you just completely enjoying the attention? I yell at her, but she flashes this rare smile, turning to kiss me. Hubby, you're jealous right now, aren't you? She says she knew I still truly cared about her. She looks absolutely thrilled by this, and then immediately calls her assistant right in front of my face. She tells them if Eng Thenh visits the company, do not let him in. Just say my husband is feeling pretty jealous. She acts incredibly affectionate, leaning so softly right into my arms. I catch her eyes sparking like actual little stars, and honestly, I truly believe she is finally going to change. It took until today for me to realize just how incredibly stupid I was. Lu Nhyn does not come home tonight. I know, she just could not resist sneaking off to seeing Thenh again. Some people never, ever change their trashy habits. Lu Nhyn, I'm talking exactly about you. For over a month after that, we have this weird, perfect harmony. Mostly because we are both too stubborn to speak a single word. Until one specific day, Eng Thenh pops up on the big screen again. The guy is radiating this sickeningly sweet, romantic energy. So much that even the reporters get swept up in the mood and ask him a question. They point out how a major award-winning actor like him should have countless offers. Yet he stayed totally quiet for over 2 months. He must have had something far more important to do, right? Eng Thenh just laughs at the reporter, totally playing up the mystery. He playfully suggests letting everyone take a wild guess. Whoever guesses right gets an exclusive interview, he claims. The reporter rolls their eyes, begging him to stop teasing and just spill the actual truth. Being so vague is no fun at all. They ask him to at least describe his ideal type. My ideal type, he echoes back. Eng Thenh thinks for a moment, then looks right at the camera with rare patience. He says she is independent, but also incredibly stubborn. She never admits her true feelings out loud, but deep down she is a super gentle person. She usually seems pretty reserved, always wearing these perfectly tailored suits for her demanding corporate job. But her car keychain is actually this little fluffy pink bunny with floppy ears. A pretty huge contrast, right? The reporter quickly catches onto something, and the camera pans in real close. Tucked right inside Eng Thenh's left pocket sits the exact same fluffy pink floppy-eared bunny he was just talking about. But catch this detail. The interview ends there, and those vague hints are enough for everyone to realize the actor is in love. Meanwhile, I'm kneeling by my desk drawer, completely and utterly shattered. Inside that drawer is a blue bear that matches that exact pink bunny. It was the wedding gift I personally gave to Lu Nhyn. She called it childish, but I stubbornly attached it to her car keys anyway. What did I even say back then? I told her this pair of plushies represented the two of us. I told her whenever I got busy and missed her, I would look at the bunny. Lu Nhyn, I said, this bunny is exactly you. Keeping it hanging there meant you were always right by my side. But Lu Nhyn, you are so cruel. How could you just hand my gift over to another man? Rumors about the superstar actor, Eng Thenh, and the Lu family's female CEO quickly climb right up the top search trends. Even without hard proof, the pure speculation is more than enough to get netizens absolutely hooked. Everyone keeps saying Eng Thenh and Lu Nhyn are basically a match made in heaven. Reporters constantly snap photos of them hanging out together. In the pictures, they are holding hands intimately, sweetly, sharing a piece of sweet potato, and even wrapping up in the exact same scarf. The whole scene just looks incredibly romantic and completely full of love. Netizens claim this is the exact real-life version of the idol dramas they always dreamed of watching. Completely unlike my own hidden relationship, the romance between Lu Nhyn and Eng Thanh is known by absolutely everyone. I honestly thought we would just keep ignoring each other, but one day I wake up, and Lu Nhyn is lying quietly behind me like absolutely nothing ever happened. I have no idea when, but the entire bedroom has been completely redecorated. Lu Nhyn personally taped all these perfectly arranged balloons right up against the wall, wishing the best husband in the world a happy birthday. Now, get this reaction. I stare at that bright wall, feeling totally bitter, before sitting up and frantically tearing down every single thing Lu Nhyn decorated. I double over, dry heaving completely out of control. Lu Nhyn wakes up, stepping right over the total mess on the floor. I just sit on the bed, staring blankly at her silhouette. She turns around, and this heavy scent of another man hits my nose. I suddenly lose my mind, shoving her hard before sprinting to the bathroom to throw up violently. I keep pushing her away over and over, yet she stays weirdly patient. I slap her hand away, telling her, Lu Nhyn, you are absolutely disgusting. Just stay the hell away from me. Before I even finish speaking, she forcefully pulls me into a tight hug. She looks at the ruined floor and, for some strange reason, just smiles happily. Her scent overwhelms me, making my eyes sting with real tears. I struggle to pry her hands off, and she loses her grip, dropping down to curl up on the floor. Hubby, please just stop making a scene. That day, we keep up this perfect fake harmony, inviting all our friends and family for a massive birthday bash. Lu Nhyn stays right by my side, affectionately holding my arm just like she used to do. In everyone else's eyes, we are still the absolute model couple. Under everyone's gaze, she slowly slides a ring onto my finger, her eyes looking incredibly sincere and passionate. She asks me, hubby, do you remember the exact words we said when we got married? You are a gift heaven gave me, the person I want to hold hands with until the very end. Hubby, from now on, we have to stay together forever. Right where she couldn't see, I coldly pulled the ring off and tossed it straight into the trash. Her mouth kept saying she loved me, but her body just wouldn't stop pushing me away. I realized I never truly understood Lu Nhyn and her heart, but that is fine. Just looking at exactly what she does is more than enough. A few days later, Eng Thanh showed up, casually walking right into my place, sitting on my sofa, playing with my cat. He had this awful smell on him, exactly the same scent as Lu Nhyn. Looking bored, he opened his mouth and mentioned that he had lost a specific designer brand ring. He stared at my hand with total confidence, but seeing my bare fingers, he panicked, his voice completely full of disbelief. Where exactly did the ring on your hand go? I froze up for a second before letting out this ironic laugh. Turns out, he just couldn't hold back anymore and came all the way here to claim his territory. I looked at him and laughed. Mr. really loves joking around. I am allergic to metal, never worn anything even resembling a ring. You only use what actually fits you. I know myself perfectly well. I simply do not touch things that do not suit me. He caught the hidden meaning in my words, his voice turning slightly angry. Not fitting? Are you talking about an object or a person? When it comes to feelings, the one drinking with Lu Nhyn is me. And as for order, I came first. Hear that, KBT? Lu Nhyn might love you today, might love you tomorrow. But no matter what, it will never last as long as her love for me. On what grounds do you say we are not a fit? I stood there stunned, suddenly realizing his words were actually right. Lu Nhyn always said she loved me, but she never ever said she didn't love someone else. Here is where it gets absolutely wild. Turns out she could love KBT and love Eng Thanh at the exact same time. Somehow I just wanted to laugh. Eng Thanh provocatively pulled out his phone. Mr. K, if you are feeling so confident, why don't we make a little bet right now? Let's both call Lu Nhyn and see exactly who she answers first. The moment my phone connected, that endless busy tone just echoed back. Eng Thanh raised an eyebrow, smugly holding out his phone. Lu Nhyn's voice came drifting right out of his speaker for me to hear. I stared blankly at my own disconnected call, a heavy wave of self-mockery rushing over me, feeling like it wanted to swallow me whole. Eng Thanh arrogantly provoked me. KBT, if you really want to talk to Lu Nhyn, how about using my phone to call her instead? I smiled, reached my hand out, and then violently smashed Ang Then's phone straight onto the hard floor. The phone shattered into tiny pieces, and Lu Nhyn's voice finally completely disappeared. I actually felt absolutely refreshed, looking right at Ang Then's twisted, furious face. I slapped him incredibly hard across the cheek. Well, then, I really must thank your phone for caring first. Later that exact evening, Lu Nhyn came back home surprisingly early. She pulled me into a hug, flipping me around to check my body, her eyes looking extremely rushed and genuinely worried. She frantically asked me, Ang Then came looking for you, and even made a bet. Why didn't you call me? KBT, I seriously never received any call from you at all today. Tell me exactly who you ended up calling? I just coldly watched her absolutely lose her mind. Tears fell from the corners of my eyes onto the pillow, disappearing without a trace. Turns out loving someone brings this much painful suffering. I loved Lu Nhyn, but right now just wanted to watch her completely lose it. I stayed silent. She gritted her teeth, glared at me, and bit down hard on my arm. KBT, you are really something. In my entire life, no one has ever made me suffer this much. No matter what I do, you always keep this perfectly calm. Look, I would honestly rather you just fought with me. I found that absolutely hilarious. So I just opened my mouth and laughed loudly. Heartbreak flashed inside Lu Nhyn's eyes once again. She cried and hugged me. Hubby, I know I was wrong. I swear, I will never push you like this again in the future. Please make up with me. Let us just make up. In my line of sight, she glanced to the side and suddenly noticed my phone screen actively vibrating on the bed. She clearly saw the saved caller name Tiu Ngon lighting up. I struggled to crawl off the bed, moving away from her, and hit answer. On the other side, that person breathed a huge, relieved sigh. Hello brother, you finally decided to contact me. You feel that shift? Before I even met Lu Nhyn, I fully admit I was just a third-rate nobody. Ever since I was old enough to understand things, I heard the adults at the orphanage saying the kids here were born sinful, which is exactly why our parents ended up abandoning us. Inside there, starving and constantly beaten, I never once had a full meal, but I kept trying anyway, trying to make crafts, trying to clean up, trying to study hard, becoming the most diligent kid in that entire place. One day, I clung to the fence and looked out, seeing a mother and son cross the street. The cold wind blew, and the mother held the boy's hands tightly, smiling so gently. I completely witnessed that exact warm scene. Imagining that I actually had a mother too, I slightly opened my arms, perfectly copying that little boy's posture. I stood up on my tiptoes, leaned slightly forward, and then bam, I fell incredibly hard, straight onto the ground, falling until my entire face was completely covered in dark dirt. Behind my back, cruel giggling noises suddenly echoed. A group of kids clutched their stomachs, laughing loudly, mocking me as a mute dog, wagging its tail and begging, yet nobody would ever even glance my way. Lying on the ground, I started laughing along with them, laughing and laughing until my eyes stung and I burst into tears, crying and crying, until a little girl blocked the light above me, crying even louder than I was. Turns out that mother and son were actually that little girl's own mother and younger brother, and they completely did not want her anymore either. Later on, a completely helpless kid named KBT practically adopted another child just as abandoned as he was, giving her the brand new name, KHNV. He proudly called her the precious treasure he managed to pick up, which is exactly why she got the affectionate little nickname, Tiu Ngon. 2 kids, 1 promise. They swore they would never ever drift apart. But later, Tiu Ngon gets adopted by someone else. On that exact day, a certain someone quietly chases the car for a really long time. He walks back to the orphanage, soles completely torn, huge blisters swelling up all over his absolutely aching feet. And yet, his only reward is a stinging slap from the adults. They say a kid nobody wants shouldn't bother trying so hard, because what's the point? They call his life totally worthless. But nobody realizes he isn't running after that car out of pure jealousy. He just can't bear to let his precious Tiu Ngon go. Still, they mock him without mercy. How could flowers ever bloom down in the gutter? Gutters are strictly for rats. And because you are just a rat, nobody is ever going to stop for you. And they can toss you aside anytime. Don't you get it yet? All because you are just a rat. Meanwhile, my private relationship with Lu Nhyn somehow leaks all over the internet. And everyone instantly starts comparing me to that famous actor, Dang Than. In just half a day, I'm dragged out and completely blasted. My inbox gets flooded with the most humiliating insults. They call me a homewrecker, asking if I realize how disgusting I look, calling me uneducated trash, asking how a broken mess like me dares to compete with their precious. Darling, why dang Than, how do you even dare to stand right beside President Liu? Turns out, none of it is just a rumor. Slowly tortured by those exact messages, my nerves almost entirely snap, leaving me huddled up on the balcony every single night, just staring blankly without a word. Lu Nu-yen actually drops her work, closely following me absolutely everywhere. Hubby, don't worry, don't be scared. I'll have my people handle this. Rest assured, I am going to make every single person who insulted you pay the price. I just look up and laugh at her, but Lu Nu-yen, the one who truly needs to pay the heaviest price here is you. As I say this, her eyes instantly turn red. She frantically hangs up every incoming call, dragging all of them straight to her blacklist. She holds me tight, squeezing so hard, like she wants to melt me into her own body, asking me to spend my whole life punishing her, if that's what it takes, begging me not to leave, swearing she only made a single mistake. She admits she still lingers on her ex, simply unable to let go of that stubborn obsession in her heart. She cries out, hubby, I've changed. I've really fixed my mistakes now. I only give her a bitter laugh. When someone messes up this badly, is just fixing it really enough? I ignore her completely, drifting off into a hazy sleep. Through the blur, I swear I can hear loud arguing. You are pretty young, but you sure have some nerve. This is my husband. I'm only being polite to you for his sake, so do not push your luck here. The woman across from her laughs coldly. Your husband? You and that, why dang Than, are constantly flirting all day long. Why not step outside and ask if anyone actually knows him? You claim Kaiba Dat is your husband? He is the one who called me here to pick him up. She smirks, challenging her directly. President Liu, why don't you ask yourself what right you even have to stay by his side anymore? They argue fiercely right there in the living room. For the very first time, Lu Nu-yen gets scolded to her face, shaking from sheer anger. Boom. Watch this absolute power move. I swing the door open, dragging out my suitcase, and walk out holding Kai Hanvu's hand, completely ignoring Lu Nu-yen without a single glance. Lu Nu-yen clenches her fists, almost grinding her back teeth to absolute dust. As I walk past, she grabs me hard and pins me down onto the sofa. Kaiba Dat, since when did this start? I laugh right back. Since the exact moment you agreed to contact Wai Dang Than again. Wai Dang Than spent days sucking up, proudly calling himself Lu Nu-yen's precious childhood sweetheart, acting like the only guy she gets drunk with. But I have someone for that too. I flash her a genuinely cruel smile. Lu Nu-yen punches the cushion right beside me, demanding to know if I ignored her calls just for this woman. You should know, I only made a mistake that any woman could make. I fire back. Lu Nu-yen, what gives you the right, when I was suffering the most? How could you just be so perfectly happy with someone else? What gives you the right to accept his lame excuses, while absolutely nothing I do is ever good enough? I, Kaiba Dat, am a kid born with a mother, but raised without one. Mercy? I do not understand that word. She has to suffer the exact pain I went through. That is the only way this is fair. As I get in the car, she chases after me, shoving a blue keychain bear into my hand, smiling bitterly, with a soft voice. She says I once told her this bear was her. I can be mad, but if I keep it in my hand, it means we have never really been separated. Hubby, she still calls me that, but now, just find it totally hilarious and full of pure irony. I look straight at her, coldly asking, what about you then? Do you still have that floppy-eared pink bunny with you? In a split second, that bitter smile on her lips completely vanishes, and her panicked eyes instantly dart away in pure guilt. I know for a fact she can't answer. You guys can guess why, right? Because she gave that exact pink bunny to someone else a very long time ago. I chuckle softly, roll down the car window, and toss that little blue bear right out without a single second of hesitation. Then, staring right into her painfully shattered eyes, I decisively roll the window back up. She chases the car, crying, while I sit inside, laughing so hard I can barely catch my breath. Lu Nu-yen, hurts a lot, doesn't it? When I saw that pink bunny, I felt that exact same pain, my head throbbing like it was going to crack right open. Kai Han-vu drives me away, speeding aimlessly like an absolute maniac. I turn my head and realize her eyes are completely red too. I laugh out loud for no reason, asking what she is crying about. She slams the brakes, stopping by the road, and spins around to hug me tight. She chokes out that she's crying because she was too weak to protect me, and because she came to my side way too late. She grips the back of my shirt, her voice breaking completely. But brother, she says, What really makes her want to cry is that she once abandoned him. A sudden void opens right inside his chest. He forces a casual smile, though tears are already running down his face. Scolding himself for being so pathetic, he looks up and wipes his nose. Why cry over that? He asks. She had perfectly good days. She should be nothing but happy. He presses his lips together, pretty sure his forced smile looks way worse than actual crying, right? Now, Kai Hun-Woo definitely notices, using her own sleeve to wipe his tears before just bluntly calling him out. But brother, your smile is even uglier than your crying. He gently pushes her hand away, trying his best to push down his feelings, while pretending to glare fiercely at her. You ditched me for years, so buying me a meal is the least you can do. She just ends up laughing right through her tears. Fine then, what does he want to eat? Abalone, fancy banquets, whatever is the absolute most expensive thing on the menu. Just order it all. During their meal, she keeps piling tons of food onto his plate. He eats comfortably, finally enjoying the most delicious meal he has had in ages. Kai Hun-Woo carefully wipes the crumbs from the corner of his mouth and hands him water, telling him to slow down since nobody is stealing his food. After saying that, she completely freezes up. Eating insanely fast is a habit he picked up back at the orphanage. The meals were tiny, and the number of kids just kept growing. Kai Hun-Woo was totally different from those other kids. She still had relatives, so she wasn't officially registered there, and no official file meant absolutely zero food rations for her. They only had one single bowl between them, so he always had to finish his portion super fast just to grab rice for her. Otherwise, she would have completely starved. The rice was always so incredibly hot that it actually gave him permanent stomach issues from then on. That is easily her biggest regret. And now, the memory is right back. Seeing her about to cry again, he just smiles and quickly cuts in. Lu Nu-yen didn't let him eat properly, so he was just hungry. He promises to fix his fast eating habit later. Kai Hun-Woo finally lets out a breath, quietly muttering a few curses aimed straight at Lu Nu-yen. The night wind is absolutely freezing right now. She grabs his hand tightly, tucking it close to try and warm him up. But his own heart is already way too cold to feel any outside warmth anymore. Kai Hun-Woo just keeps chatting away. He gives her a specific address and simply asks her to take him over there. She sits down with this careful, almost pleading little smile, softly telling him she really wants to take him home today. Time truly can be a rather impatient, relentless thing sometimes. He looks up at her, suddenly realizing the tiny kid who used to constantly follow him around everywhere has grown into an incredibly beautiful young woman. She is fully grown now, with her own independent thoughts, which is great. But unfortunately, her focus definitely shouldn't be on him. He turns her down quickly and completely. Her voice completely trembles as she asks why. He reached out to her, so why won't he just let her get close? He stays silent, offering only a faint smile. A person really shouldn't keep tripping over the exact same spot over and over again, only to fall down one more time. He is just exhausted, completely done with suffering. He rents a room for himself in an old, but surprisingly neat and warm apartment complex. You really feel for him right here. It's just him. No walking on eggshells, no waiting up endlessly for someone who never comes back. Just peace. Right before bed, Lu Nu-yen actually sends him a photo of a blue bear tightly hugging a pink rabbit. She adds that they aren't separating today, calling him husband. He just pulls up the covers, quietly exiting the chat and shutting off his phone. He should have slept perfectly, but around midnight, his stomach suddenly cramps up hard. Clutching the heavy blanket, he sweats cold from the sheer pain. In the past, he would have powered through until morning with painkillers, but he simply cannot do that anymore. His illness only just got a bit better. The doctor strictly said to be careful. Forcing himself up, he throws on a thick coat and scarf, wrapping up tightly before heading to the hospital. This old building doesn't even have a working elevator. Still slightly terrified of the dark, he shrinks back while carefully stepping down. Hitting the third floor, the sensor light stays completely dead, and a soft whisper suddenly echoes nearby. He instantly stops, totally on high alert. Before he can even turn around, a ridiculously strong force slams into him from the dark. A massive slap sends him crashing down. He desperately tries to grab the nearby railing to save himself, but his fingers catch empty air with absolutely nothing to hold onto. His balance completely shatters, sending him tumbling violently down the stairs. Biting through the intense pain, he looks up into the shadows, only to see some crazy woman charging right at him, wildly swinging a heavy club. Get ready for this twist. He shuts his eyes tight in pure despair. but the expected crushing blow never actually lands. Instead, a heavy thud echoes out. Opening his eyes, he realizes someone is suddenly shielding him, holding him tightly. That heavy club had slammed right into her head. Lu Nu-yeon practically drags him backward against the wall, then fiercely spins around to physically shield him from another strike. The crazy woman is totally shocked someone stepped in to protect him. She furiously screams who the hell is he to even try competing with Wei Dangthan. Calling him complete trash, she screams he deserves to be ruined forever. She swings again, but Lu Nu-yeon fiercely shoves her right against the wall. Kai Hun-woo frantically rushes over, pulling him tightly into her arms. His stomach was already cramping badly, but that brutal impact just made the agonizing pain skyrocket. The sheer agony leaves him totally speechless. Kai Hun-woo holds him tight, her hands now completely soaked in dark crimson. Shaking uncontrollably, she stammers while desperately dialing emergency services. Meanwhile, Lu Nu-yeon is still absolutely losing it, wildly slapping that crazy woman across the face. Kai Hun-woo screams out for Lu Nu-yeon, but the girl doesn't even hear her, just viciously raining down blows. He watches helplessly as the dark crimson stain keeps spreading endlessly. Kai Hun-woo is fully panicking now. Her voice shakes completely as she begs him to just tell her where it hurts and exactly where it's coming from. Frantically, she searches for the source of his injury. The pain leaves him utterly speechless, his entire body feeling like it's being violently ripped apart. He's trembling, gripping KHNV's arm. He begs his little monster to just save him. He just wants to survive, completely done with having a family. His body is already way too weak, taking hit after hit, and the doctor just confirmed the cancer cells are spreading again. He sits there on the hospital bed, staring blankly out the window all day. Sometimes he wonders if leaving this world would just finally end everything. Lu Nhyn walks in, shuts the window, pulls the curtains, and quietly sits down beside him, offering a glass of water. She gently coaxes him, telling her husband not to be sad, that they have so many days ahead. He just slaps the glass away, giving her a smile that looks worse than crying. Is that so? But that is his future. What does it have to do with her? Lu Nhyn feels the sting loving someone can truly hurt so much. He closes his eyes, every single word heavy. Lu Nhyn, they need a divorce. Her answer completely catches him off guard. Right after that, she drops to one knee, solemnly holding up her ring box. She agrees to the divorce, but refuses to ever give up on him. She tells her husband they will untangle all his inner knots together, and once they do, they are going to remarry. He's honestly so furious, he actually laughs out loud. But watch closely here. She steps out, while he grips a knife, gently running his thumb across the edge. Lu Nhyn's assistant gets shoved inside in total panic, followed by a furious NH. He glares at KBT, eyes literally sparking with absolute rage. Those trending scandals were your doing, weren't they? He investigated the person behind the PR team, finding out it is the adopted child of CEO Kim from the Kim Corporation. That person doesn't use the Kim surname, but goes by K, and coincidentally, the name sounds incredibly similar to his. There's no way he will believe this wasn't all planned out. KBT, do you really resent him that much? Will you only be happy when my reputation is completely ruined? He just opens his phone, showing trending searches full of absolute insults. People aren't wrong to criticize him, considering 3 or 4 of his wealthy backers got exposed recently. The guy truly has zero shame. The internet really has zero memory, does it? Who even remembers him arrogantly shielding his lover before, loudly claiming the unloved one is the actual third wheel in the relationship? He even messed around with CEO Lu, who was already secretly married. If he were her husband, he would be absolutely sick to his stomach right now. In less than a month, public opinion has completely flipped. Everyone kicks a falling wall, and NH is finally tasting that bitter reality. But that still isn't quite enough. How could just ruining his reputation satisfy this kind of extreme anger? A smirk creeps up on his face as he raises an eyebrow at him. He is honestly thrilled beyond belief. But for NH, this rotten reputation is only the very beginning. He's far from satisfied yet. Next up, he will topple those rich backers supporting him. And then he's coming for every single endorsement deal. Game over. Don't expect to keep a single one. Ruining your reputation just isn't enough. NH, you have to pay the ultimate price. Just like your relatives wanted to eliminate me before, I'm going to completely destroy you right here. Eyes totally red, the rival charges in like a maniac, pinning him down and gripping his throat so tightly he literally cannot breathe. He's almost suffocating, gasping for air. But you're not ready for this comeback. He wraps his legs tight around the guy's waist, gritting out every single word. "NH, you just lost." In that exact second, he grips the knife tight and slashes down with everything he has. One strike just isn't enough, so he aggressively slashes down once again. Crimson drips right onto his face. He stares wide-eyed at the rival's utterly terrified expression, feeling absolutely, incredibly exhilarated. The guy tries to dodge, but his legs keep him completely pinned. By the end of it, his entire face is pretty much entirely shredded. Lu Nhyn bursts into the hospital room, dragging NH away, but she's not fast enough to dodge the knife in his hand. A deep cut tears across her arm, yet her eyes stay totally locked on him, looking both deeply pained and incredibly pitiful all at once. "You've gone totally insane." Yeah, he is insane. Lu Nhyn. Hasn't he been completely crazy since the day he found out she betrayed him with NH? Getting divorced from Lu Nhyn? She has finally started to realize something real. The one who swore they would remarry after the divorce is now gripping his hand, refusing to let go. KHNV rushes over, slapping her right in the face. "You disgusting traitor to your own marriage. What is the point of faking all this deep affection now?" Lu Nhyn takes the harsh judgment from KHNV, looking at him with falling tears, but speaking seriously. She knows she was wrong. She promises to handle NH, his backers, and the woman trying to hurt him. Rest assured, she will clean up absolutely everything. Just wait for her, and if she does a good job, come back. Just look at her one more time, okay? He just gives a faint smirk and replies with one word. "Fine." Hearing that answer, Lu Nhyn's face visibly stiffens. She tries forcing a smile, but the moment she turns around, the tears just start pouring down. Everyone knows it is a lie. Lu Nhyn, this is exactly what you truly deserve. 3 days later, the Lu Corporation holds a massive press conference exposing every single scandal of NH, even dragging his hidden wealthy backers completely out into the light. Losing his support, all his resources get completely divided up among rivals. But even without that happening, he has absolutely zero chance of ever standing on a stage again. After that justified self-defense incident, the guy gets locked up for a few days. Once out, he goes through 13 cosmetic surgeries, but every single one fails. The glorious life of a top actor ends in utter misery, and Lu Nhyn fares no better. She throws the entire Lu Corporation into a clash with Angthen's backers, and with KHNV causing extra chaos. The company's stock price takes a totally disastrous nosedive. In just 6 months, half her hair turned completely white. Using others for the takedown? So satisfying. Sitting in KHNV's car, I scroll the trends, then I spot the news. The Leah Group is completely bankrupt. I just smile faintly and scroll right past, totally unbothered. KHNV turns around. Fishing for praise. Did I do good? I laugh and hug her. KHNV, I actually have a massive secret to tell you. It is about that kid CEO Kim from the Kim Group is trying to adopt.